guys, thank you and welcome back to my channel. So this week we're gonna go in and do a really quick review, the foundation review of the most top foundation right now, and that's gonna be about the Makeup Forever Ultra HD Skin Foundations. So there are a lot of talk about this foundation right now online, on social media, and all the beauty influencers kind of like falling in love with them. Are they gonna be 24 hours proof, HD, flawless, like they claim to be? Well, for this makeup look, we're gonna go in and create this makeup look. So you are watching the part 1 of this makeup look right now. We're gonna go into this part, to the complexion part, to do the full review of this foundation. I've been wearing this foundation for like 2 weeks now, so I'm gonna go in and tell you the truth, how I feel about this foundations. Also, there's gonna be a part 2 of this makeup look that's going to be regarding the eye, lips, and the rest of the makeup to complete this makeup look right in here. So if you're all interested, stay tuned for the next 2 videos. So let's go in and start to do the review of the Ultra HD Makeup Forever New Skin Foundation. So first, I'm just gonna go ahead and go in with prepping my skin, because right now I kind of like have a little bit of moisturizer since I woke up this morning. So it depends on the day. If the day I get really like extra dry that day for some reason, in the area in LA sometimes it does get like super dry, then I can go in with the Bobbi Brown. So this one does have a little bit more of vitamin C, vitamin enriched face base. It does have like skincare benefit in it. The consistency of this one does have a little bit more like heavier in consistency. It also smells super nice. But for the days that I feel like my skin does have a little bit more like moisture, more to like a normal side, it's not so dry, then I'm gonna go in with the Embryolist right in here. So if you watch my video for many times, you're gonna see me using this like a lot, because this is kind of like it's similar to the Charlotte Tilbury Magic Cream or something like that, but it's a little bit more like affordable. And a lot of makeup artists do use this one because it's a little bit more like work with all skin type. It doesn't clog your pores, so that's why I kind of like picked this one to do my as like a skin base for my foundation, skin base for before I do my makeup, because it's gonna keep my skin a little bit more hydrated. So I'm just gonna put a little bit. I'm gonna put that all over my face. And it does gonna give you a little bit more like moisturizer, hydration, but it's not gonna feel so thick and heavy. So now that my moisturizer is in there, and I'm gonna go in with more like a primer. So with this review, we're gonna go in and use kind of like my daily basics, exactly the step I'm using with my other foundations. So it's gonna see how this Makeup Forever foundation gonna work with my normal like makeup routine, because you want something that kind of like work into your normal everyday makeup routine. You don't want to change up like anything or mix so many things just for like foundations. So lately I kind of go in with like the Dior, the Dream Skin. So you see me using this one a lot. Also the Dream Skin Care Perfector. So this one does have a little bit more like a pinker undertone to this one. So it's gonna give my skin a little bit more like lighter and brighter, because sometimes my skin does get a little bit more like dull. So with this one, it does have more like a pink undertone, so it's gonna kind of like help lift it. Imagine if you use more like a kind of like peachy, pinkish undertone on your under eye for your dark spot. This is kind of like a moisturizer that is kind of like for your whole face. It's gonna kind of like lift that complexion, make it a little bit more brighter under your makeup. Also the smell of this one, it does have a scent to it, but it smells super nice. It's have a little bit of like a floral smell to it, which I don't mind. So normally every single day I would do my makeup with like the blurring Smashbox Photo Finish blurring. This one all over my pores are here, because sometimes it does have a little bit more larger pores on my nose. I do have a little bit more larger pores right in here, with a little bit more like acne scar right over here, which is trying to cover, or not cover, kind of like fill it in a little bit. So today I'm gonna go in just a little bit, because the Makeup Forever skin does claim that it does give you more like a blurring effect. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put on just a little bit on my cheek area and a little bit on my nose. And after my complexion prep is already in there, now I'm just gonna go ahead and go in and put on my lip hydration. So lately I'm like kind of loving the Dior lip glow. This one right in here, the Color Revival. It's kind of like a lip balm. It does have different colors. The color I'm using is like number 01 right in here. So this one is like all the way out of stock because it does have a little bit more like a perfect baby pinkish color. It's super cute. So it's kind of like a lip balm with like a little tint of color. So I'm just going to use that as kind of like my lip hydration. It does have a little bit more color, but it's not so much. Okay, so now that my skin prep is all right in there, now we're just gonna go ahead and go into review and apply this new Makeup Forever Professional HD Skin right in here. So I do have two different colors. So I got this for like 2 weeks. I've been trying this one for 2 weeks now. So after I'm applying it, I'm gonna tell you exactly how I feel, because the past 2 weeks I kind of like been wearing this foundation to see how it worked. The reason why I got two different color because I ordered them both online. The first one I got was like 2Y30, so that's the color that I thought it was supposed to be online. And you can look underneath, it does have a little bit of the like the old color. This one is Y345. So I thought that was my color because originally if I'm using more like the foundation stick, my color would be Y365 or Y375, which is still a little bit too light for me with this one. So this one is Y375 and this one is Y365, which is a little bit more like a lighter shade. And the color that kind of like matched me much better is actually Y405, which is like, because this one does have a little bit more like yellow undertone. I do have a lot more like olive yellow undertone in my complexions, but this one, after looking at it, is like Y345. Is a little bit more like, I thought online it looked a little bit more like darker. And when this one arrived from Sephora, because I ordered this one online and I'm applying it, it does look a little bit more like darker. So I'm just gonna apply a little bit. So this one is what looked like for Y3. I'm gonna put on a little bit more so you can see the color. So you can see this Y345 original color, and this is now 2Y30. I know all this number is like super confusing with Makeup Forevers because it's kind of like trying to change up the number coloring system. So the Y is mean yellow undertone, and I think they have like an R for like red undertone, and then the N for like a neutral undertone. So I do have a little bit more like a yellow olive undertone, so I went with more like a yellow base because majority I feel like if I put on more like red undertone, my complexion just seemed a little bit more like, I don't know, whiter than my complexion because I have more yellow undertone. So it's kind of do that like color correcting situation when you put on like the opposite color. So I went with more like a yellow undertone. So this is the 2Y30, and if you can see, it does look a little bit more like darker than my complexions. Right in here, it does have a little bit more like redder tone to it rather than more like a yellow. So that's why I went back to the store and like, I need to swatch this like in the store. So I got the second, like the one yellow undertone down, and that's gonna be 2Y20. And the original color of this one is Y305, which is supposed to be much lighter. So if you look right now, this one is 2Y20 and the other one is 2Y30. You can see like the color different between the two, but they're both supposed to be more like yellow undertone base. And you can see this one, it does have a little bit more like a redder tone to it. So I'm like, also trying to like swatch some of the redder tone in the store, but they came out like much more like pinker or redder undertone than this one. So I was like, so I guess I'm just gonna go ahead and grab more like the yellow undertone. So I got the 2Y30. So that's just, if you can think of it, they just have like Y, neutral, red. So I just skipped all the red and neutral and went down one of the like yellow undertone because I'm trying to find something a little bit more yellow undertone. If you're trying this one on my skin, right here, it is so much lighter. So I need something in between those two of yellow undertone, because definitely the red undertone of the neutral doesn't really work on my skin. It does have a little bit more like red undertone, so I'm just gonna go ahead and kind of like blend this two together to hopefully find my exact color match. So I'm just gonna go ahead and blend this two color together, and then the red color does show out a little bit more. So this does kind of like somewhat my color, but it still does have a little bit more like red undertone to it. So I'm just gonna add a little bit more of the lighter color. So maybe I'm just gonna go ahead and blend in more of the lighter color than the darker color to kind of like line it out a little bit. That looks somewhat a little bit more closer. So normally I'm gonna go in with more like fluffier brush like this. This is actually more like a bronzer brush from like Sephora. I love this one because it's have a little bit more like a denser, so it's gonna give you a little bit more like a little bit more coverage. Or you can just blend it out. It's a little bit more easier for you to kind of like sheer out your foundations. So the biggest claim for this foundation is more like HD foundation. So it's supposed to be more like a blurring effect. It's undetectable foundation, which is, I think it's more like for the camera. And they say this is supposed to be really great for like that natural no makeup look. But so far, first applying it, I can see what they're talking about. Ooh. So you can see I'm kind of applying the foundation on one side, and the other side I don't have any foundation. Does this kind of like match pretty well? You can barely notice the kind of like the difference. So I put on one side, you can still see see some of my freckles still kind of showing through it. I kind of love these days because I don't want something like too heavy. But again, the color matching after I blend those two is kind of like really great. You can barely see the like difference between the two. So this one does have a little bit more like makeup, and this side doesn't have any makeup at all, so you can barely tell the difference. It's just kind of like even your skin out and kind of reduce all the redness and take that redness away. So if you're interested into something more like no makeup day or something really quick with makeup, I think this foundation actually really good. It might be my second favorite foundations. You know, my all-time favorite foundation is going to be the ORCÉ Cosmetics foundations right in here. So I do have a lot of different colors. For the ORCÉ Cosmetics, if you use the code BELLA20 on the checkout, you do get additional 20% off when you make a purchase. And I do get a little bit of compensation if you do that, like using that code. So thank you for anybody that is using that code. You're trying out the ORCÉ Cosmetics. These are my favorite, all-time favorite foundation because they do match my skin like kind of like perfectly. Also keep my skin super hydrated. And I've been trying to find like anything else that I kind of like love. So I do use like a lot of different kind of like foundations, like the NARS, Sheer Glow, the Armani, the Dior, which I don't really love. And I haven't tried to do a review of this one yet, but I have the Il Maquillage. So I'm gonna do a review on this one if you are interested. It's really interesting with this formulations also. The Tom Ford, Charlotte Tilbury, what's this? Charlotte Tilbury and Huda Beauty. So I do try like a lot of different foundations to see which one I kind of like love. And so far, I do just try the Tom Ford Stick Foundation, which I actually kind of love this one also. So I'm gonna do a review on that one later. But for this foundation, it does have like really high claim for like blurring, natural finish, barely undetectable foundations. And it was like, when I first purchased it. And after kind of like a week, 2 weeks of trying it to see what I like and what I don't like about it, and I come to the decision that I kind of like love and obsessed with this foundation. It's kind of like so good. So when you're picking out your color, you just have to know your undertone. Either you're more like yellow undertone like me, because I'm more like a Southern Asian. So we do have a little bit more like yellow, golden, olive undertone. If you're more like a Caucasian, you tend to have a little bit more like red undertone. And sometimes you do fall more like neutral undertone, which you kind of do have a combine of the two. So one trick I saw from like Scott Bar, if you can see on your knuckle right in here, if you go on your knuckle like this, you can see my knuckle right in here do have a lot more like yellow, golden undertone. And if you happen to do your knuckle, go make a fist like this and your knuckle does have more like red tone, that means you do have a little bit more like red undertone. So yeah, so that's how kind of like one of the way for you to figure out what your skin undertone is. And of course for the skin undertone, you don't only have the yellow, neutral or pink. Like me, I do have a little bit more mixing with more like olive undertone also. Now I'm just gonna go ahead and go in with the beauty blender and kind of like press a little bit to kind of like even everything out. And even though I tried this foundation for like 2 weeks now, the first impression I kind of like this foundation because if you can find the right color, it's blend really well. Also it's super light too, it doesn't feel like really thick. I do have more like a normal to combination skin, so sometimes I do feel like a little bit more like drier. But even though the foundation kind of like drying down, I don't feel like it's more like a matte finish. This is a little bit more like a natural, everyday kind of like skin finish. Because me personally, I hate more like matte finish. It does crack the foundation. And after 2 weeks wearing this foundation, I just noticed it's really like flexible and move for your face whenever you kind of like make different face. Because you look at my skin right now, it's kind of like more like a sheer towards medium coverage. You can still kind of like see some of my freckle right in here. I'm not sure you can see in my camera, but you can still see some of my freckles right in here. Just a slight redness right up here if you want a little bit more like a full coverage. Like sometimes I do, then I'm just gonna go ahead and put on like concealer, and then I'm gonna go ahead and go alright over with another pass of like another sheer coat of foundations to give you a little bit more like a full coverage. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and start with my normal complexions, and that's gonna be the first thing. Is I'm gonna go in with more like the NARS right in here. So this color is in Honey. So I'm using the honey for my mostly on my under eye area. So just right in here because sometimes I do have a little bit more like a blue tone under there. Also on the corner of my mouth, it does have a little bit more like darkened area. So I kind of like put this color wherever I have a little bit more like a darker spot. If you can see, that's already kind of like taking off my blue undertone right under there on my under eye. And the reason why I put on like a foundation before I put on like the concealer, because sometimes the foundation does have enough coverage, kind of like cover all your blemishes or any of your imperfections that you don't like, because you don't want to go in with the concealer first. Sometimes the concealer does have a little bit more like a fuller coverage than the foundation itself. So you don't want to go in like too heavy at first and then you're gonna go in with the foundation afterward. It does get a little bit more too cakey. So I recommend using more like a sheer light layer of foundation first to see what it can cover, and then gonna go in afterward kind of like correcting. And then if you want more like fuller coverage of the complexion, then go in with another sheer layer of the foundations. And for today, because we're gonna record to review how this foundation works, also I'm trying to do 2 different videos today, so we're gonna go in with a little bit more like heavier layer. So I'm gonna go in with another pump of the foundations. So I just went in with another pump each of those 2 color, and I'm not gonna go ahead, I'm not even using like the whole color, so I'm just gonna go ahead and use my brush again. So mostly gonna be right on my cheek. I don't want to put too much foundation right on my under eye, because later on I'm gonna go in with kind of like a brighter concealer for more like a fuller coverage makeup look. If you can see, this is gonna be the second layer of that foundation. It does gonna give you a little bit more like a fuller coverage. And I think if you want more like fuller coverage, 2 layer would be perfectly fine, because this foundation does somewhat dry down kind of quick. So I feel if you layer more than like 2 different layers, it might get a little bit too heavy or too much full coverage. So it does cover practically every single thing. It's cover all my redness. So now my face look like a pancake right now because it's all neutralized, all one color. So I'm just gonna go ahead and go in adding more color to my face. I'm gonna go ahead and do my other complexions with the Makeup by Mario contouring stick. The color is in light. So with the color light, I'm just gonna go ahead and go right on the highest point of my cheek right in here. And using more like a dome brush like this, I'm just gonna go ahead and go in and kind of like blend that out. And because this is more like a review for the Makeup Forever New HD Skin Foundation, I'm gonna go ahead just skip by all this contouring step and makeup step super quick, so I can get into the whole review for this foundations. And for the darker nose contouring, I'm just gonna go ahead and use the darker shade Makeup by Mario, and the color is in medium. Now that my nose contouring is in there, I know it's a little bit dark right now because I haven't kind of like blended out because I forgot to put on my concealer. So now I'm just gonna go ahead and put on a little bit more brighter concealer. I'm using the NARS 2.6 in Cafe Con Leche. Just a little bit more brighter for my under eye right in here. A little bit on my forehead. And for the center bridge of my nose concealer, I want something a little bit more brighter, so I'm going to go in with the NARS 2.4. NARS 2, I'm not sure if this one can focus. This is the NARS 2.4 in Cafe au Lait. So this one does have a little bit more like brighter, so I'm just going to go ahead and do a straight line on my nose like this. And as I do my complexion, I do feel the foundation is kind of like drying out right now. It's not super bad. It doesn't feel like a matte foundations. I just feel like it's drying out more than a normal hydration foundation. So maybe for this foundation, I don't need to powder as much. And using more like a clean side, I'm just gonna go ahead and blend out that contouring into the foundations. For the center nose highlight, I'm just gonna go in with more like a synthetic brush and really lightly kind of blend that out vertically. And just a clean side, I'm just gonna go ahead and go into press that in. So the blush palette I'm gonna go in today is this one from Danessa Myrick. I think I kind of like butchered the name, my bad, sorry. Danessa Myrick right in here. So I also got this one like Sephora. It does have 4 different colors right in here, which is super pretty in here. So it does have a little bit more like a coral, a little bit more like a pinker tone. So this one is more like a dual palette. You can use this more like a lipstick, eyeshadow color, or more like a blush. So I'm just gonna go ahead and use this as like a blush. So normally I'm gonna go in with more like this peachy tone right in here. I used the pink one before, but I feel like that's a little bit too pink for me, so I'm just gonna go ahead and go in with the peach color, and I'm just gonna apply right in here at the highest point of my cheek. And the color does look really intense right now, but when you blend it out, it's gonna kind of like give you that really baby doll pinker cheek color. And I do like to bring my blush like kind of all the way over here, to kind of like halfway towards my forehead, kind of like this whole area in general, instead of just on my cheek area right in here. So that way it's kind of like lifting up your cheekbone a little bit more right up here. And then using a beauty blender, just go ahead and press that right in between the highlight and the contouring. As you can see, it's looked really dark before, but now it's kind of like really natural and peachy. Lately I've been using the Bare Minerals mineral veils right in here. So this is kind of like OG powder mineral foundations. So this is the original mineral veils. It doesn't really have any colors in it. Also, the mineral veil is like super light. So I'm gonna go ahead and go in with more like a fluffier brush right in here. And this kind of like remind me of the first time I start wearing makeup. So using the Bare Minerals, because it's kind of like you can't really see it, but it's still gonna give you that like natural makeup look. So I'm gonna use the original mineral veil and kind of go in and set my foundations. And lately I love using this powder to kind of like set my foundation because it's super light. It's not heavy, you can't really like feel anything. Also, it's gonna give you that extra blurring mineral veil effect. I love the mineral veils to set your foundation because it's gonna give you a little bit more like that airbrush finish alone. Because with the Bare Minerals, you can use the powder foundation and then recommend using the Bare mineral veil right after. It's kind of like give you that luminous glow. So using this with the liquid foundation is kind of like give you that kind of like a little bit more like fuller coverage, but more like an airbrush finish at the same time. So yeah. So now I'm going to go ahead and go in with the bronzer. And lately, I also don't use bronzer a lot. I just pick up this Laura Mercier translucent, it's not translucent powder. This have a little bit more like a color and a little bit more shimmer. So this is the new like Laura Mercier translucent setting powder with a light catcher. It does have a little bit more like a light color to it. So it does have like only 3 different colors. The light one does look a little bit too light for my skin, so this is going to be the honey, which is more like a second color, and still it's gonna be a little bit too dark for my skin. So more like a really fluffy brush. I'm just gonna go in with a little bit the color from the Honey from the ORCÉ. This is Honey Star. So you can see right in here, I'm trying not to tilt it so much. The color is a little bit more darker than my complexion, so I feel it's gonna be more like a perfect shade as like a bronzer. Also, it's meant to like set your makeup also, so it's kind of like kill two birds with one stone. It's gonna like set that area, also give you that like bronzer glow, and it's also have like kind of like a light reflecting, light catching effect. Also, it's gonna give you that like dewy finish glow from within look. And for the nose, I'm just gonna go ahead and go in with the Huda Beauty Soft Radiant number 2 bronzer right in here, and the fluffy brush I used earlier for my cream contouring. I'm just gonna use the same brush and put my brush right in that bronzer color and kind of warm up my nose contouring shade a little bit more. And normally if I'm looking for something a little bit more like a natural makeup, this is gonna be it. Just foundation, concealer, a little bit more bronzer, and I'm just gonna go ahead and go in with the Charlotte Tilbury airbrush setting spray right in here to kind of like set everything and kind of like erasing all that powder. If you happen to put on like the extra powder, just spray it down. If I'm gonna go in and do more like a natural everyday makeup look, this is gonna be it. Actually, I'm just gonna spray it there, put on a little bit more mascara, and then go back with more like my lip balm that I put on to prep my skin earlier, and that's gonna be my natural every single day makeup. If I'm happen to like go to the grocery store, I'll run out somewhere really quick, and this is gonna be it. But today when I'm gonna go in and do full makeup for another video, so I'm gonna go ahead and go in and finishing up all my makeup, and then I'm gonna go back to do a full review on how I feel about the new Makeup Forever Ultra HD Skin foundations. I'll be right back. Okay guys, so after the complexion, this is going to be the final makeup look with the eye makeup and the lips. But today we're just going to mainly focus on the complexion and foundation from the Makeup Forever Ultra HD. So I'm just going to give you a review on that one. And I'm going to put on a video right after this video to complete this whole makeup look. If you're all interested, it's going to be right after this video. It's about the really natural clean eye makeup for the lips. Also, I do this makeup look because I have to go out to do my passport photo because I just got a name change. If you haven't watched the other video, I got a name change, so now we have to go change my passport photo. So this is what that makeup look is for. Passport photo. Is this passport photo ready? Okay, let's go in and do a final review of this Ultra HD Makeup Skin Foundations. So, first thought about this foundation, I got this foundation about 2 weeks ago, and I've been wearing it. I try to be wearing every single time I go out, go grocery shopping, go to the movies. So I kind of like get the whole range of like what I do in a day and how my foundation gonna last throughout the day. And this does last you for a very, very long time. So majority this foundation, this advertised gonna last you about 24 hours. I'm not sure what you need to wear your foundation for like 24 hours. You should not wear your foundation for like 24 hours, like 8, 10 max, or something like that. After 10 hours of foundation, you might need to take that off for foundations. Anyway, so with these foundations, I've been wearing for a long time. I just noticed that it's really good at hanging on. It doesn't really like creating any crease, or it doesn't really dry out, even though if you're wearing this for like throughout the day for like 8-10 hours. Even though I wore this like to the movie, to grocery shopping, have mask on, and nothing really like move as much as it's just like this for like the whole time, like all day. I don't really need to like blot it because the formulation is kind of like, I wouldn't say it's really matte. I do have like combination skin, so sometimes when my skin does get dry, it does get a little bit more like velvet finish. I wouldn't say more like matte or feel drying, because this is a little bit more like towards the natural finish looking foundations. So overall I do love, and I would say borderline kind of obsessed with this new foundation, because they say this foundation is going to be undetectable liquid foundations that blur and cover imperfection for up to 24 hours, powered by the micro skin system that sync with the skin for the true skin finish. For the color range, let's start with the color range. They do have large color range. It's not as large as the color range as before, the old formulations, but it does have a large color range. I was able to find like the match with this two color to match with my perfect skin tone, because sometimes the yellow does get a little bit more red if you go into like a higher 2Y30 or something like that. It does get a little bit more like a redder tone rather than more like a true yellow undertone. And the red undertone, I believe I swatch it, is like really red for me, so I went stick with more like a yellow undertone. But the Y330 does get a little bit more like a redder, so I would recommend going to the store to swatch the color, because it does have like the old color and it doesn't really match or collaborate with the old foundation or the stick foundation. I feel like the color range, they changed it up a little bit, so it doesn't really like match with the old color. So do go to the store to get that perfect match, because I ordered this one online. I thought that's gonna be my perfect color, but then it turned out to be a little bit too dark, and that's gonna be too Y30, so that's gonna be too dark for me. Yeah, so that's one. The second one is, I love how this foundation lasts longer throughout the day. It does have more like a blurring effect to it with the foundations. I'm not sure what like they put in it, but they say to be more like a medium, but you can really shear it out. If you can like do a really like light layer, it's gonna give you a little bit more like a natural skin finish, and you don't even have to like powder it and look exactly like skin. It does last longer throughout the day. Even if you look like really close, you can't really see like foundations, which is amazing, because you don't really want your foundation to look like foundation if you do more like a natural no makeup look. And this would be like a perfect foundation for that if you're going for more like a really clean natural makeup look. And for today, I'm kind of like building it to more like a fuller coverage, and that would definitely gonna work too. And as you can see, it's kind of like cover majority everything to be more like a fuller coverage, but it's also really good for like a natural everyday foundation. And I also used this before with just my hands, and it's worked really well too. It's kind of like a really tinted, I won't say tinted moisturizer, because tinted moisturizer is a little bit more lighter. Consistency is a little bit more heavier, but you can really use your finger to like really blend it out if you're just like on a run. This would be like perfect foundations. So overall, I think this is gonna be my second best favorite foundation for this year. It is so good. I tried so many different foundations this year. This so far is one of the most standout new foundations that just launched this year. It's said to contain less than 1% of synthetic fragrance. Overall, when I tried it, it doesn't really smell a lot of the fragrance at all. It just smells like foundation to me. It doesn't have like really strong floral scents, or it doesn't have like any strong smell like that is noticeable to me. It's just straight up foundation. That's what it smells like. And it's also vegan and come in recyclable packaging. So this one, just be careful when you travel with it. It's kind of like the matte foundations bottle is more like a glass, but look at it, it is super cute though. This is super cute. I love the bottle, how it's all like neutral. The cap is all neutral. It's like an upgrade for the old foundation. The cap is really like dark and black. So this is super cute. So overall, I do love and obsessed with this foundation. It's going to be one of my second favorite foundations for every single day makeup, because it's going to be a little bit more like whole longer throughout the day. So overall, if you are interested in trying out this makeup, go to the store for them to like match with your perfect color, because with this foundation, I tend to buy foundation online because I know what my color kind of look like. But with this one, it's kind of questionable when it's come, because sometimes it does look a little bit red when it came. So yeah, so that's gonna be my review for this makeup foundation. So if y'all all happen to try this foundation before, let me know what you feel about this foundation right on the comments below. And what if there any other foundation you want me to try. I actually bought so many foundations this year, and I didn't try a lot of foundations. So yeah, so that is about it. Also, don't forget to, if you are interested in this full makeup with the eye and the lip, the complete makeup look, go to the next video. It's going to be on that makeup look. So yeah, that's about it. I have to run out to do my passport photo now. So I'll see you again on the next video. Bye.